That's funny, Tony. Tony took that joke next level. I didn't think there was another level past that joke, but Tony said, I found it.
Oh, good morning, everyone. I see we have a few people in the live chat. My sincerest apologies. When I first created the stream, and I was kind of in a rush because we weren't sure if Irish Dean was going to be able to join us this morning. But I messed up the time, and I put PM, and it was supposed to be AM, and then I went back and changed it, and now I'm all over the place. So that's why I give it like kind of a buffer, and so I do apologize. But thank you, everyone, for being here. This is the 4 Beardsmen of the Apocalypse. As you can see today, we have 3. We have 3.
We're almost there. We're almost there. We're getting closer. Last week it was 1.5. Now it's 3.
And I'm so glad that PhD Tony has made his triumphant return.
Thank you. I was about to say though that really, if anyone was expecting better from you, JL, it's their fault, not yours.
And he's back. Poof, motherfucker, poof.
You know, we were talking about ice flows earlier, and you're getting a little long in the tooth there, my friend.
You got your flame arrows. Give you a proper send off. Oh man!
Did you miss me?
Yes, we did.
Twice. We're gonna work on our aim.
That's right.
That would suck if it just got farther and you kept missing, and eventually just got out of range. And you're like, oh, shit.
Think about it, right? So you're Nordic and you're doing the thing, right? The fire send off by boat, and you miss. What the fuck do you do? Well, sucks for him.
Re-knock and try again.
You just swim out there and fucking hook that thing back? No, just let it go.
Like your best archer was recently lost in a battle,
right?
And then you got to send somebody off, and it's like you got the second best, and then the guy's like just missing this shit, and it's like quickly on, he's getting away.
Don't call him number 2 Magoo for nothing. Fucking hell. Jesus, here I am making.
You got to lead the target.
There's that scene from Game of Thrones, right, where the guy's trying to set fire to his father's corpse as it floats down the river, and he's just missing left and right, and his uncle has to take the fire. Eventually, when it's about to get out of range, his uncle just takes the bow off him, fires an arrow, sets it on fire, and then throws the bow back at him and just storms off. It's a good scene.
I thought you were going to take that someplace different with it being Game of Thrones.
Oh, it was Game of Thrones? I thought it was autobiographical.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't want to drag everybody's evening/morning down. There's a lot of well wishes from the audience, from the chat. Thank you very much for that. I have been feeling quite bad and been losing energy quite quickly. So yeah, it's nice to be back a little bit.
Definitely. So Eddie, are you thinking you think you'll make it back to 100% soon, or you getting close?
Hopefully. I mean, I'm feeling better. I still need to sort of get the exercise back up to speed, which is a little bit difficult because we're in lockdown now. So, there's a lot of, I do have an elliptical machine, which I will be using, but I prefer to sort of, be able to walk into work and walk home and that sort of thing.
Awesome.
Anyway.
Fantastic. Well, let's take a look at who's in the live chat. Let's see. Sir Little Wolf, good to see you. Yeah, sorry about the time screw up. That was my bad. Commander Darklight, awesome. Good to see you. One of the amazing patrons over at Week in Horror. Joe Whip is in the house. It's demerits for everyone.
Yeah, well, I was saying that I hope that the people who are late have notes. Because, I know that you guys have been running a slipshot operation in my absence. But now that I'm back on deck, I expect things to be run in an orderly fashion. Thank you very much.
You're back on, you're back on what?
Okay.
You're back on what?
Back on deck.
Oh,
DECK.
gotcha.
Got fucking
Gotcha.
Captain Aubrey over here. That's a Master and Commander reference, if anybody is aware of that book.
That is. So there are many more books than just Master and Commander.
This is true. I mean, Master and Commander was the first book. There are 19 more books after that, and a 21st that was technically unfinished, but was still released, after the author's death. But still, Captain Aubrey over here.
Patrick O'Brien, if I'm not mistaken.
Peter Collings in the house. It's good afternoon, gents. Morning, evening, wherever you may be.
Yes.
See, Monkey in the Works says, my mom says I have arched feet and am excused from gym in this badly forged note. Basic Trigonometry is in the house. Says, yay, we got a Tony. Fantastic. And we're all feeling it already. It's a me, Mario East this afternoon. So glad to see PhD Tony. And Monkey the Works says, yep, glad you're back, PhD Tony.
Uh-oh, somebody broke your cherry.
Oh, did somebody? Oh, hang on a sec. Let me see here. I'm gonna get down to it because I'm almost up. So Peter Collins says, huge respect. Actually, you know what? Let me jump to this real quick because I don't want to lose it. So holy shit, my very first super chat because my channel got recently monetized. Holy fuck. That is Czechoslovakian?
Kroners, I would think so.
Kroners?
Yeah, 129 of them.
129 kroners. I guess it's kroners. Actually, you know what? I want to get it right so I can commit it to memory.
Don't, because you got too many to learn.
I can commit them to memory.
Okay.
Currency CZK. What is CZK? Is Czech Republic. That's right. Yep. And that is the Czechia, the Czech Koruna.
Okay.
Or it might be pronounced kroner like this. But thank you very much, Peter Collins.
Call it Krona.
It's crowns. It's basically a crown.
It's basically a crown?
Yes.
Thank you, Peter Collins. I do appreciate you are the first one. I do appreciate it. I will not forget it. He says, here's a couple of quid for your hard work. Much appreciated. I do appreciate it, sir. And it's awesome because he says earlier, J.O. Warren, huge respect for all you did for the Friday the 13th marathon. I only managed 6 movies, but it was fucking awesome. Well, bloody done. Thank you, Peter Collins. I saw you were in there for a long, long time. I did that on Friday the 13th. We held a Friday the 13th marathon, and we watched every single movie.
I wanted to be there, but you started, like the second that you started, the big boss of my new job walked in. And she was there for the whole day. So I can
okay.
Wow. 12 movies, 18 hours straight.
You guys are aware, of course, of the deleterious consequences of this particular Friday the 13th.
Of this past one? What happened?
All the atheists are dead, right?
So the suggestion is that Friday the 13th was the time at which Donald Trump was going to be reinstated as president.
Right. That's right.
Through a magical and unspecified political process, legal/political process.
This is not the Constitution you're looking for.
that did not in fact come to pass. And so the concern now is that people will be motivated to, people were waiting for this to happen, and since it didn't happen, now they're going to get violent. The entire thing is the problem. So, this was actually predicted back in February, March. There was a lot of chatter about this August the 13th date, and he said, and they got a security analyst on, and he said, I don't think so. It's not going to be dangerous on the day. What's going to be dangerous is when that day passes and nothing happens, because they're going to decide they need to do something dramatic to make it happen, because it won't happen without their action. So it is a little bit of a worry.
Well, here in the Freedom Zone, we haven't heard of anything taking place. It might be the weekend, and Americans don't give up their weekends for shit. So it may be waiting for the weekday. I don't know. Just
well,
true story.
I mean,
True story.
It's not going to be instantaneous. I wouldn't think, but there's already been an uptick in chatter apparently.
Oh,
anyway.
Oh, it's a Mario Rui for my second one. It says for €2.
Yep.
It says don't spend it all in Bibles jail. I will try not to. I unfortunately have enough of them around this house. I really do. And I tell you what, I have to be nice because my mother-in-law decorated the place up a little bit before we moved up here. So we came in here and the place wasn't fully bare. There was some scant furniture. She just wanted to make sure that we had everything, they had stuff. So there was some scant furniture and some wall decorations, and I have some Bible verses on some of the walls, and I have not removed them yet because she's been over a lot. Because she's dealing with some stuff. She had hip surgery, and my wife has been helping her out and everything. And
so she's guilting you with hip surgery and the Bible.
I haven't taken them down because I feel bad. I've been I walked in, it's like, get this shit off my fucking walls.
What is this crap? John 3:16. Fuck you.
Yeah, I get out of the shower. And I have this big ass thing like right above the sink that's like Psalms, and I'm like, I don't want to read that.
So you've got another super chat. But while you're getting that and reading that, you had somebody give you a shout out during the week, JL.
I did.
You shared it with us
to address this super chat. Monkey in the Works for £5.
Yep.
Says checking JL's currency recognition skills. It's not a pound?
That is a pound.
That is a pound. Okay.
That is a pound, yes.
I recognize a pound when I see one.
I bet you do.
Oh, I love that. Monkey that Works says opium is one hell of a drug. Yes, it is.
It is.
Helps with a cough, though. If you got a really bad cough,
John Rapp says that he's sorry he's late. My homework ate my dog. When I was a teenager, my family owned a goat, and there were at least 2 occasions on which the goat ate homework.
Damn.
Though we suspect in the second case, the homework was rather forced on the goat.
Eat the homework. And the goat's like,
I don't like it.
Algebra's not really my thing.
Yeah.
I prefer English.
The first one was mathematics, and the second one was primary school mathematics. So basically, just arithmetic. But the second one was history. My sister and I had.
Nobody likes to. History is not good for anybody.
No.
All right. So, Peter Collins for 99 check kroner says, "Do you get a wrench for popping super chat, Cherry?" Peter Collins, you got your wrench. You got your spanner, sir. So do enjoy that. And let's see. I think Zachariah Hooper's in house says, "Hey there, Beardsmen. Good to see you." So is Micah Raptor says, "Hello, lovely people. Good to see you."
Zach Hooper is actually helping out with the King Shaming Cannibals album.
Badass.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Mike Raptor says, still having trouble herding Beardsmen. On occasion, we are like cats and difficult to herd. So hopefully, once we get things sorted, it was so back to you, Peter Collins. Love you, dude. The difficulties with obviously with Irish and Ireland, and PhD Tony's still stuck in Australia, and then us here in Freedom Time.
He's not stuck in Australia. That's where he lives. Where PhD Tony lives in Australia. He's not stuck there.
I thought the Roos were keeping him captive.
No, sadly not.
Or was it the emu? Was it the emus? The emus have taken over again.
I have to say that one of the animal that most intimidated me as a child was the emu. You can go down to the nature parks and there are emus, and I'm not sure if you guys think of this, but I always think of bird eyes, which are eyes that show, they glitter, but there's no depth behind them. And so and emus have those, and they sort of stare at you, and they've got a beak that's right at eye level, and you can just imagine them going and just plucking your eye out. I don't know, just terrified me as a kid.
That's hilarious.
That's funny. All right, let's see. Zachariah Hooper says Irish Demon is helping William Wallace to free Scotland.
It's my Ireland.
It's mine. All right. Well, a couple of things. Yes, as you can see, super chats are active. Those recently took place. Memberships. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And channel memberships are also active. And because this is so early in the process,
you want to help JL bridge the divide.
And yes, channel memberships are open. There's only one level. I set it to the lowest because I want to make sure that I have things set up for the best, I guess, the best perks that I could possibly add. This is fresh to it, and I'm still kind of learning, still kind of like going through it piece by piece. I wanted to set up just the bare minimum, so I set it up at the lowest at 99 cents, and that's pretty much it. And obviously, you get a shout out on the show and everything. And eventually, as I increase things and improve, I will things will expand from there. But I think the lowest is good for right now, just so that people can say hey, and they can get their cool badge, they can get their membership badge, and have access to the emojis, which I have set up. You only get 4, and then once you get more, you get more after that. Yeah.
I think it's 10, no, maybe 15. And I can't remember, but yeah, there are levels that you'll get more. I think I'm up to 11 right now.
Well, last night I set up a whole bunch of emojis, so I have them ready to go for when we hit that. I was like, oh, I need this emoji. I need this one, this one. So lots of emojis. So I'm looking forward to that. Yes. Let's see.
Well, that's actually a really good segue into the first topic of the night, talking about the time change, the upcoming time change for the Beardsmen.
Yep.
So we're going to help with everybody's schedule because getting up at the butt ass crack of dawn on a Sunday morning has been amazing because you guys are fun to hang out with. But Tony having to stay up till the wee hours of Monday morning is not. And then now Demon is a little closer, so he's more in between. So it's kind of just a weird time altogether for him. So I think we're going to switch it to, what do we say? 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock Central Standard Time, which is UTC minus 5. I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
So something like that.
Something like that. So starting next week, we'll be at the adjusted time, which will be for the evening, the late afternoon, early evening for the American folks, evening, nighttime for the British folks, and then morning time for the Australia folks.
Mm-hmm.
So we think that will work a little bit better for all of us since we are spread out around the world now, and might be good for the audience as well. We will definitely test it and see if we can make that work. But yeah, this will be the last one at this particular time, Freedom Time and Australian time. So
JL, your memberships probably are, I don't see them. So I'm on the desktop, so they may not be approved yet.
I got the approval deal. Hang on a sec.
Okay. Well, I'm not seeing
your perk. Your what's it close to? Oh wait, it says your perks have been approved.
I will be back momentarily.
You go empty that bladder. Yeah, because I'm not seeing it over here. I think you might need just a little bit longer. It should be there soon because you said you just applied for them last night.
Yeah, and they were. Let me see here, and they were approved. Maybe it's still waiting. I can look over here. Memberships active. Blah, blah. It says supers. No. I'm still approved. Set up your memberships offer. Approved.
Mm-hmm.
Upload badges and emoji. Done. Announce your memberships. Done. Post to welcome new members. Done. 100% complete.
Well, give it some time. It should show up soon.
Overview. Channel.
Sarah Little Wolf says, jail is perky. Only
Occasionally.
in the mornings.
Only in the mornings. This is the truth. Well, that's weird. I don't know. I honestly don't.
Like I said, give it some time. It'll probably show up later this evening or early tomorrow.
Okay, well, they should be there eventually. Maybe they just need to pop up. I'm not 100% sure, but I guess we'll figure it out. So we had a couple other people come in. I see Rob Parks has come in, says, howdy, y'all. And Robert Dumplings Gyroscope. I fucking love that name change. It says, good afternoon, all. Awesome. Oh, this is interesting. Mike Raptors has a question for you, Tony. Do emus and ostriches have some convergent evolution going on?
Yes, they do.
Interesting.
So basically, it's it's birds deciding that instead of flying, they just need to be able to run really fast.
Have large talons.
That's and ostriches, and they're in very similar flat environments without sort of much in the way of trees or what have you. Just running really fast in the one direction is actually a really good way of making predators less interested in you. So yeah.
I thought it was the ornery attitude as well. This one, this is some pissy birds.
I'm not sure how ornery ostriches are, actually.
I seem to be kind of bastardy whenever I'm driving in through one of those little things and I got the cup of food and I'm feeding it and it gets mad at me. Fucking assholes.
I've heard that they can be pretty damn ornery. I mean, emus, cassowaries, ostriches, they're all just like pissy birds.
I kind of think that any bird, so birds, don't have sort of the cerebral development that mammals have. So they're not really as compassionate as a mammal pet might be. Though there are attachments that form. I mean, people form very close attachments with various parrots or what have you. But basically, I consider birds to be basically reptilian. In terms of brain function, they're not really that. They don't form sort of the emotional bonds that you might get from a mammal.
Gotcha.
So they're That being said, I mean, I can see why. Certainly, birds, parrots, for instance, are capable of having quite a bit of personality. They're quite good at asserting their individual existence and the importance thereof, which is kind of endearing. But yeah, they're not really they're not really emotionally engaged with the people who are offering them food. That's not how that relationship works.
So they're not dicks per se. They're just dicks.
Let's see.
They're dicks to everybody. They would be just as much
non-discriminatory dicks.
Yeah, they would be just as much of a dick to a bird who was.
Let's see. Enriched Atheism in the house says, good to see you. Says, have you tried turning your channel off and back on again? I may have to try that. No, Johnny says, don't try that.
No.
Don't try that.
Not a good idea.
Peter Collins says,
well, John Rapp just brings up magpie nesting season. And in fact, we had something of a tragedy during the week. There was a baby who died as a result of a magpie attack, which is quite a tragic. Not that the baby was being attacked, but the baby was being carried by the mother who was being attacked, and she sort of panicked, ran away, fell over, and fell on the baby.
Oh, that's awful.
So yeah. But the thing is that as far as magpies are concerned, attacking people works. Like either you get humans who try and make themselves your friend by offering you lots of food, which some individuals have claimed is a successful strategy, or they just stay the hell away from you, which is what you wanted in the first place. So either way, kind of the way humans respond to magpie attacks kind of encourages magpies that attacking people is the right thing to do.
Especially when they can cut them off at the genetic start. Just if we can get the small ones, that we don't have to worry about anymore because they're just all dying. They're figuring it out.
I don't think that magpies are at the point of
strategizing their attacks,
genetic competition at that level. No, I don't.
Get the young ones.
Rogue One, we'll go to Delta Formation, and we'll go for the little one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what magpies are like in your part of the world, JL. But now
we don't have magpies.
We don't have them, but we do have mockingbirds.
We have mockingbirds, and we have every now and again we'll get the occasional raven, like a real raven, not the blackbirds that people think are ravens or
the grackles.
The grackles.
Yeah,
those guys are just fucking annoying.
Grackles are obnoxious as hell, but crows, we get crows.
You get more crows than we do. We get more grackles. But the reason why we get more grackles and we have a grackle problem in so stupid. We have a grackle problem in DFW because we had a silkworm problem. And the natural enemy of the silkworm just happens to be a grackle.
All right.
So we imported a shit ton of them, and now we're like, I can't get rid of them. Well,
they're fucking everywhere. God, they're annoying.
I wonder why. Yes.
You think? I think that there was a cane toad situation we might have learned from.
Yeah, that's right. That was where my thought process originally led. But yes, birds do actually learn. John Rapp brings up that he fed magpies at work sites, and they would remember, and they will certainly remember a grudge. The birds do have quite good memories, and I mean, you look at, for instance, cockatoos. So cockatoos or galahs.
I don't generally look at a cockatoo. Just
they live for decades. So cockatoos live about
decades?
as long as humans. Yeah, cockatoos live about 70 years. That's the mean life expectancy.
Tony, don't you miss this? don't you miss this at all?
No, I don't. In fact.
You didn't miss this.
Sorry, my inner teenager is coming out.
Let me see real quick. You had some more people come in and see. Chris Durham Music Channel says, Chris Durham Music Channel, good to see you. Says no notification, but I found it. Came here and then suddenly the notification, as is par for the course with YouTube. Rob Park says emus aren't ornery when they're on my dinner plate. If you can eat it, you're dominant. Let's see. Chris Durham Music Channel says bacon wolves. Let's see. Clyde Wells says, is there conversion evolution between flurfs and reptiles? I'm going to hazard yes. Very primitive, operating solely in the hindbrain. They just react to shit. So let me see here. Who else we got coming in? Surf popped in. Good to see you, Surf. And John Rapp. I want to say good morning to you as well.
Good morning, Mr. Rapp.
Good morning, Mr. Rapp. And then Beaver C is in the house. Good to see you. And then, okay, so shockingly, no one has no specific names have popped up unless they're lurking in the background. But yeah, this is going off of there. Tony did mention that our favorite, I guess, theist to laugh at. Apparently, so I had no idea. I thought that the moment had passed.
No, you know that
I released my video. I released my video about Darth Dawkins.
You know that he's got a red lipstick list. You know he has
one. I was kind of like, I thought it had passed, and there were other atheists that had taken better positions, like Tom Rabbit, King Xerxes. There were other people that I think recently, Daddy Smoke is up in there. So I was like, it's got to be that. I mean, it pretty much faded. It wasn't that huge. It was one thing. I don't have a show where I go in and talk shit about him. But
I don't have one of those.
Well, I don't have a live call-in show where I could talk shit about him. But he apparently he was watching that he was doing a review. Another review of the Shannon Q incident.
My God. That was what, like a year and a half ago?
Yeah. And so he was sitting down doing this review for him and his people because he's got nothing to look back on. And then so he's doing the review for his cronies. And then Tom Rabbit was in there recording it. And then it was really, really good. Tom Rabbit's video was pretty nice. He put it up on the screen. He made it like MST3K, where Darth you could recognize by the helmet, is sitting in front next to some stormtroopers. Yeah. It was really, really funny. Anyway. So apparently, so I'm sitting in the live chat. It's like, this is great. And then fucking Tom messaged me. It was like, dude, man, you're in this video. And I'm like, what? Why would I be in this video? This is Darth talking about fucking Shannon Q. Why am I? So apparently, what Darth just had to bring it up, that because someone brought up sexual deviancy. And then
he brought up sexual deviancy.
Oh, he brought up sexual deviancy. and then out of the blue, unprompted, brings up my name. And says that the reason I'm an atheist is because I'm bisexual.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I have
he's not wrong. All atheists are sexual deviants and bisexuals.
Right. Yes, we are. But I found it to be
PhD Tony's like the queen of the bisexuals.
Okay, so Daryl M is in the house. Good to see you, Daryl M. Says, Tony, hello.
Yes. So I do want to say, yes, I'm a sexual deviant. No, I'm not bisexual. So just
bisexual as in you pay for sex.
I have not ever paid for sex.
I don't. Dinner?
I don't have.
Have you ever gotten any in your life? You paid for it,
yes,
my friend.
I did.
You paid for it.
Well, there is that dimension to the equation. Yes.
There was an exchange of goods and or services.
But I want to bring, since we are mired in sexual deviancy, I do want to bring it back to Darth Dawkins.
Oh, okay.
And I don't understand this guy's pathology particularly well. Like, I'm not used to somebody being so completely monomaniacal, in a sense.
He does have like this super villain quality to him.
Yeah. Did you guys see the sort of the recent footage of Nathan Oakley explaining to some bemused old guy on a couch about the religious motivation for Nathan Oakley's flat eartherism? Like
I did not.
Yeah. I did not. Yeah.
So it's come up on it's been dredged up on Conspiracy Cats or Baldy Cats and on Rancy's channel Perspective, and there's a video of him explaining that if he's right, if the earth is flat and God sits above the firmament looking down, then humans are all there is. That's it. That's reality. And he contrasts this with science, where the the scientists say that it is an absolute certainty that alien intelligences exist. I have to say that seems a slightly bold statement. As a scientist, I would say the probabilities are that there exist alien intelligences. It's not a certainty, however, until we find it. But he is so convinced. He is, making and maintaining eye contact with this guy, and he clearly thinks that, given the choice between believing the Earth is flat and humans are the only intelligent species in the universe, or that there might exist another intelligent species and therefore that competes for God's affection, every sane individual is going to go for the former, right? Because he is so convinced that everybody's identity is intrinsically supported by being uniquely qualified to receive God's affection, because we're the only intelligent species in existence, which, even if you look at life on Earth, isn't true, right? It's not true that humans are so much more intelligent than the animals around us, that the animals around us deserve to be just disregarded as far as intellectual creatures are concerned. It's a really revealing moment, and it shows just how religiously fundamental this man is. Like, he's got quite strong religious beliefs. So I recommend looking it up.
Can I read you something, Tony? So you brought this up, and this is actually a really, really good transition. So my next video is coming out shortly, and it is on one of the mega pastors, John MacArthur, here in America. And there was a little video. It was a short little video that he posted up on his channel. That was like watch this, watch and share before it's deleted. And I was like, okay. This was
7 years later, the video is still up.
And did you look at it?
No, I'm just making this.
Oh no, I don't think it was that old.
Assholes that do stop watching now before the video is deleted. They look at the date of the video upload, like 12 years ago.
Okay. So I dove into this video, and I just got to assemble the video itself so I can put it out. It's going to come out this week. This is the fastest turnaround I've ever had between videos. I'm really, really impressed with myself. And so I started pulling out the source material, and I wanted to dive into this guy. I didn't want to just go after this because I needed to understand him as well. So I kind of take him apart as well as what he says in the video, and basically break him down with everything that I can find. And the well is deep on this dude. It's so not good. But this is something, because he's a young Earth creationist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was he wrote. He's the president and professor of pastoral ministries. Blah 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 blah. He wrote an article on basically on creationism and why it's good. Why it's the correct thing. And he titled it. This was basically the top. Just the top paragraph. It was like creation, believe it or not. So John MacArthur. Blah 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 blah. So I want to read this to you real quick. I'll try to make it as quick as I can. And I know you'll be able to follow. So hang tight with me. So everybody in the chat, hang tight with me. I'm going to read this to Tony. We're going to get Tony's reaction to this. Naturalism has replaced Christianity as the main religion of the Western world. Though the teaching that natural evolutionary processes can account for the origin of all living species has never been proven, that teaching is central to the philosophy that now dominates Western scholarly thinking. Even evangelicals have become less willing to defend the early chapters of Genesis against the encroachments of evolutionary thought, although in actuality affirming an old earth theory and remaining evangelical is an inconsistency. A framework approach to those chapters does not square with a consistent hermeneutical approach to Scripture, because the first chapter of Genesis teaches that God created the world in a normal week of 7 days. The purpose of evolution is to explain away the God of the Bible. The absurd teaching of the Big Bang theory of evolution is that nobody times nothing equals everything. It is a theory that raises an almost endless array of unsolvable problems. It is degrading to humanity, hostile to reason, and antithetical to the truth that God has revealed. When one starts adapting the word of God to fit scientific theories based on naturalistic beliefs, he has begun his journey on the road to skepticism. I read that.
What a load of horseshit.
I read that and I was like, I started breaking it down. I could do a video alone just on that paragraph, on all just going through it. And I was like, I have to hear what PhD Tony says about this shit.
That is fully horseshit. And let's start with the most basic formulation, because you hear this a lot, that science, evolutionary theory, cosmology, Big Bang cosmology are religions, and there is a tendency to group them together. So if somebody believes in evolution, they must necessarily be a proponent of the Big Bang theory, as creationists choose to misrepresent it. They're separate concepts, right? The creation of the universe. Let me rewind, because creation is the wrong word. The origin of the universe bears no relationship to evolutionary processes. Evolutionary processes bear no relationship to abiogenesis. These are separate things. They're separate events. They're separate disciplines. And
real quick, hey, Mr. Malort, good to see you, and hey, Nimrod, good to see you too. Thank you for coming in this morning. Continue.
And the semantic chicanery of pretending that it's all one theory, and if you can discredit any part of it, no, we come to these conclusions based on the evidence that is available to us. We don't choose to. I got into a conversation on one of JL's posts, where some guy was maintaining that the laws of thermodynamics dictate that there must be a God. And I said, well, I don't, and JL would come on and would complain about the hundreds of messages that we were trading backwards and forwards.
It was unbelievable that it went that long. I mean, you engaged this fucker like 15 rounds. It was good.
Yeah, there are multiple theories about the state of the universe prior to what we can determine from the observational evidence available to us. I do not believe any of those theories until evidence comes in. They all seem equally plausible, and indeed, I've got a hypothesis of my own, that it's, in my hypothesis, actually, the universe is circular. So time begins, there's a negative universe that goes off, it comes to an end. So JL and I have had this conversation an infinite number of times before. We'll have it an infinite number of times after, because that's all that time is. That's all that the universe is. It just goes round and round and round. But that has no theological significance and no significance as far as observable reality is concerned. And that's
that actually makes me feel kind of, I actually have to say, that actually makes me feel kind of good. If it is that way, because that means that regardless of anything, we were all going to be a part of each other's lives and enriching each other's lives, regardless. It doesn't matter, which I think is awesome.
Which you can choose to view it that way. Other people might say that it's a very depressing viewpoint, in that everything is predestined to some extent.
That's only because they have depressing lives in of themselves and they don't see a way out. It's like, my life has been pretty fucking amazing. Sure, I've had my ups and downs, but I've managed to surround myself with amazing people and always be surrounded by amazing people, creative, intelligent human beings, you being one of them. And if I get to do this ad infinitum, what am I going to bitch about? I get to hang around cool people.
Well, that's exactly right. And Darrell M is correct. That hypothesis is absolutely not scientific. It's not really testable in any sense. And I fully concede that. But at the moment, we don't really have observational data that allows us to be too firm about, and I could be wrong. It could just be the fact that the universe was in a steady state, in a highly dense condition for however long, until something precipitated the expansion we refer to as the Big Bang. But we don't know what the universe was like before, a few fractions of a second after the expansion began.
Yeah,
and that's okay. We don't pretend. The idea that you can pretend that you do know and that it was God, that's not better, right? I mean, you are on, from a logical perspective, somebody, a Zoroastrian has as much evidence in support of their religion as Christians do in support of their religion in terms of the creation, right?
As Stephen King does, that all of reality was thrown up by a giant turtle.
Yeah, the whole position that these Christian apologists take in opposition to cosmology and evolutionary science and the science of abiogenesis is that sorry, I just got distracted by a question there. But the suggestion
glacial isostatic adjustment. Boom.
Yes,
I still remember.
My PhD is in geophysics, and in particular in the field of glacial isostatic adjustment. So that's but what Nimrod quite kindly compared me to Aaron Ra. Aaron Ra is an extraordinarily knowledgeable individual across a broad variety of fields. So that's a very flattering comparison.
His depth of knowledge in phylogeny, taxonomy, is bar none. I mean, the cat's got it down.
And mythology, the relationship between Jewish tradition and the mythology of the Mesopotamian city-states. He's got a very firm understanding of that, as well as the archaeology that relates to both of them. So he's got a very broad base of knowledge, quite specific to the role that he has assigned himself. But a deeply impressive individual. So he may not have PhD level knowledge in any one of these fields, or he may not hold a PhD in any one of these fields, but the level of understanding he has is nonetheless quite impressive to anybody who objectively assesses his status. So I don't think I get to look down my nose at Aaron Ra. In mathematics, yeah, sure, I will look down my nose. But then again, in terms of phylogeny and evolutionary science, he's going to kick my ass up the piazza and back again every day of the week. So so it's not really there's give and take. But the Christians, the Christian argument of attacking the science by saying, that's a religious belief and it doesn't really prove anything. Well, that doesn't prove Christianity. That is not an exclusive argument. Darth Dawkins' argument against science, against cosmology, those arguments apply equally well to Hinduism or Zoroastrianism or Jainism. Any of these other religions can equally validly make the same arguments. So those arguments, as are presented, do not actually support Christianity. And it's a weird dichotomy for me. You're arguing against science. Okay, you don't like the fact that we've made decisions about what evidence is reliable and what isn't, that you don't like. But just because it's written in the book that you like doesn't make it real. It never has, right? And other people who have different books that they like can esteem the stuff in their books just as much as you can esteem yours.
Well, I mean, when you have a dishonest starting point like Darth Dawkins does, whereas one, he presents the false dichotomy. It was like that there's only a God world. There is no alternative. So it's either a God exists and you accept it, or God exists and you're lying about it. So, and you're lying about
what is ultimate, that is foundational, and everything
and,
rational and irrational, and it's constant, and it's just shut.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's the central argument, right? He asserts basically that God exists as an axiom because you can't have logic without God in his worldview.
Which is the most irrational thing I've heard, because
I reject your axiom.
Right.
So now there's nothing to debate.
That's where I get it. That's where I eventually got to, was I reject your definition, because it was like, how do you define God? He defines God, and so on and so forth.
That is ultimate.
Yeah, and I say, well, then I reject your definition of God. You can't possibly know that. You can't possibly say that this definition is absolutely correct in any way, because
how is there no God?
Yeah, I hate that. I
asked you a question.
It's so goddamn dishonest. How is there no God? Yes, I'm going to speak to the mechanistic possibility of something that I don't believe exists. You fucking retarded. Sorry, bad word. I didn't mean to use that word. Tony already hit me once. Just talking about Darth.
I did. Well, you get a free pass because you are retarded. By your own.
He's back. He's back. He's back in the house. Apologize, I did not mean like that. I'm trying to curb myself, trying to wean myself from using that word.
It's an old term, right? That's old. Yeah. We're used to saying that without it being offensive, and
when I get scared,
it's offensive. So when
I start talking about Darth Dawkins, I tend to get a little scatological, and my vocab goes out the window. So I apologize. There are better words. What was the word you recommended, Tony?
Challenge.
Challenge was a good one.
I don't know if Darth Dawkins is challenge. I think he's
no, absolutely not. That is a much better term. So I think that it would be a mistake to use the term retarded in reference to any sentient being. Okay, but when you're referring to Darth Dawkins, you have a degree of liberty, and
there's a far cry. There's two different statements between sentience and sapience. There's a big world of difference.
I don't think he qualifies in either.
Wait. He can react to external stimuli. We can like that. If I poke him with a stick, he'll.
I don't know if he can. I don't know if he can, because I've never seen him operate off script.
But does he react in a way that is constructive to his survival and the propagation of his genes? No, he does not. Therefore, he is incapable of the level of intellectual operation that bacteria are capable of. Yeah.
I now have this image that Darth is just some like giant sentient paramecium that's just slapping at the keyboard with its flagellum. Just whenever it gets pissed off, the little the things that it uses for locomotion just start.
I actually think of Darth more as a nematode, right? In that his relationship to the religion he has attached himself to is entirely parasitic. Okay.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I'm sorry, I gotta jump in real quick. Crafty Keela, I saw that you were in. I was waiting for an opportunity to say hello. I did not. I saw you when you first popped in. So hello, Crafty Keela. Good to see you so much. And I could have sworn there was somebody else that popped.
I saw you pop in before you popped in, Crafty. I just didn't want to blow your cover.
Oh, and Danny3648. Good to see you. Thank you so much. And sorry about that. I just want to make sure I said hi to the people coming in. So, and yes, Beaver C asked a question. What is the guy's name here in the U.S. that built the Noah's Ark amusement park?
Dumbass.
Has the dinosaurs. Ken Ham. Ken Ham is that guy.
Dumbass. No, his name is Dumbass.
Alexandri
Dumbass.
So
nice Shawshank reference.
Ken Ham is an Australian, and I feel like it would be dishonest of me as an Australian to overlook the fact. Also, he has a PhD geologist called Andrew Snelling, whose PhD involved publications that rely on geochronology, radiometric geochronology. So he has peer-reviewed publications on radiometric dating of rocks, but he's a creationist.
Well, it's the same thing with Sanford, with Dr. John Sanford. He has a PhD in genetics. He invented the gene gun, which was a revolutionary piece of medical technology. And he also thought up gene entropy, which is why he thinks that the Earth is young, because humans haven't had enough time to. We're beginning to see the entropy of our genome, because his whole hypothesis about negative or detrimental mutations building up over time. And that's why he goes. Normally, you see where I'm going with that, brilliance in one side, and then. Challenged on the other.
But Andrew Snelling is also Australian. That was
maybe it's an Australian thing. Maybe they got bit by some weird Australian insect that we are unaware of that causes this type of thing.
We produce our fair share of reactionary religious crackpots. That's certainly how it goes. To answer Daryl M's question, yes, I am in lockdown at the moment.
That's an excellent question. If Ken gets sick and is healed, is he cured Ham?
No, he's still a dumbass.
Let me see. Skeptic Dank. Good to see you, Skeptic Dank. Thank you for popping in. And let me see here. JL Warren says, Darth Dawkins has an inflatable balloon animal monkey made of human intestines in his backyard that he calls Mommy. That's a bit extreme. I actually, if it turned out that he was doing like a Norman Bates and like the shadow in the upstairs window of his home was like, his mummified mother sitting in a chair, I wouldn't be shocked. It would not, I would not be like, I didn't see that coming.
I didn't see that coming.
I kind of feel.
Yeah, with super chat.
Yep.
You do have the problem there that if Darth Dawkins' mother is alive and is real, she has to be dealing emotionally with the fact that is her child, that is her offspring, that is what she did to the world.
She did to the world. Mr. Malone says for $4.99 American dollar for Freedom Bucks. Says, did I pop the super chat cherry? Unfortunately, no, Mr. Malort.
You just have cleaned out the residual, though.
I believe that you are the fourth car on this super chat chain. Super
But
chat,
I
super
think
chat train. I can't fucking speak.
in time, you will be able to say that on the first evening of JL's channel being open for business, you were there. So
Right.
this is ground floor.
Exactly.
Yes, I am. This is the first one. This is kind of cool. The first open for business stream. I know that I owe some people out there. I think I owe a couple people out there. Oh, maybe.
Well,
so I owed Spanners to some people out there, so I'm taking a look.
So this is kind of we're gonna make a hard left from Darthok from one bit of stupidity to another bit of stupidity. Speaking about channel growth.
Oh, and hey, gotcha, Backfire. Good to see you too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, GOH. Anyway, so we're gonna segue from one bit of stupidity to another bit of stupidity. JL Warren has recently had some increased growth. He was able to get 6 more inches, so he's able to.
I was about to say it myself.
Well, actually, I was in awe rather than thinking about the penile humor that Johnny O was working towards. I was actually in awe at the skill with which he is making this segue. Because I know where he's going with this, and this is their skill. He's making the connection across between the Nile and the fucking Amazon, and he's making it seem like they come from the same mountain stream. So,
thank you, John Rapp, for $2 Australian.
Yep, that's
$2 Australian bucks, Aussie bucks. It says 5th. Yes, you are, sir. Thank you, John Rapp. I do appreciate it very, very much. Thank you.
So we've had some accusations against other members of the community about subscription purchasing.
Subscription. Oh yes, the team stream.
I'm used to this euphemistic dancing around the facts, Johnny O. And who the fuck are you? You're a pod person. If you're not going to say AT2 Productions put out a tweet accusing Team Skeptic of buying subscriptions.
Yep.
There you are. Now, let's lay the facts out on the table.
Let's put it out there. Now, here's where I don't have a problem. Okay, wait. Let me rephrase. I do have a problem with with Jared blindly accusing somebody of purchasing subs, especially with the evidence piece that he put out. He put out this evidence piece coming from Social Blade, which is not hyper accurate. It's not like to the numbers accurate. It's they use 2, sometimes 3-day-old information to base their projections, to base their numbers on, right? And they round everything, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But when he puts out this information, it shows, yes, Team Skeptic had a big influx of subscribers. He also had a giant influx of views. Now, generally speaking, when somebody quote buys subs, you don't get the views with it. That's the number one sign of somebody who's purchasing subs.
Yeah, that's separate payment.
Take a look at look at Sit Down with Debunkers when they had that huge influx of subscriptions but no views.
Yeah.
And Team Skeptic he had a video featured on a 100,000 plus subscriber channel on Schrodinger Cat's channel. So he should have seen a real spike in subscriptions when you get featured on a bigger channel. I mean, Schrodinger has like fucking 2,000 to 3,000 people watching his premieres.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And that video was Team Skeptic had a video premiered on Cat's channel, and he had like two. I think it was 25 and some change that were watching that live as it premiered. So they went over and subscribed to his channel.
Yep.
And then we're supposed to see that stuff.
Yeah,
that's why I dropped Simon Dan's image in my last video. Because any connections I could make towards him would be fantastic. It was like, hey, everybody, Simon Dan sent me here. It means like, but Daryl M for $2.99 Aussie, thank you so much. Says to purchase a few more subscriptions. Damn straight. That's how we do it here. That's why it took me over a year to reach 1,000.
That's exactly.
I buy them one at a time. Am I doing this wrong? Oh, great. Let me see here.
Perhaps you shouldn't have offered to pay in blowjobs. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to leave it there. But the pathetic aspect, as far as I'm concerned, is that AT2 seems to be pursuing this sort of slagging match against Team. Like, just let it go, mate. It's over.
Oh,
Like,
Colin's in there. Colin's in the house. There's AT2 is just actually he came in like the room. AT2 is just chucking shit at the wall to deflect any crap he's getting right now. Oh, hi, JL. Hey, Colin.
I have to say I don't really understand why any of the rest of us have any subscribers, because Colin and Mondo and Johnny O have the best voices on YouTube.
Oh, well, thank you.
And the rest of it, I certainly sound like tepid shit.
I wouldn't say that.
That was unexpected. And I sound like
tepid shit. Oh my goodness!
The only thing I don't like, I'm not a fan of my laugh. I think my laugh is goofy. It's
infectious. What are you talking about?
Oh, well, I appreciate that, but I think my voice is pretty good.
You have a voice?
Yeah, you do have it.
Thanks.
You do have it.
I'm kidding. I'm teasing.
You have a good voice, JL. But I don't think it's as good as Johnny's or Colin's or Cheesemondo's. They have, they could write. They could.
The comments are a little small this morning.
Wow.
Because I was fishing
for compliments.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm sorry, I'm just cutting this off because my problem with the bigger problem that I have with what Jared did was his attempt to veil his obvious accusation. Well, I was just asking the question. I was just posing the questions. No, you weren't. You were not just posing a question. Okay, it was a shitty attempt. It's like whenever you're trying to veil something, but letting everybody know that you're veiling it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying PhD Tony has a 12-inch penis, but he has a 12-inch penis. You know
I do not.
I demand evidence for this positive claim. That is a positive claim you have made, sir. I demand evidence to back this up and peer review.
I'm not sure if you guys are aware of the sport. Netball.
Did you see his first hand gesture? I'm not sure.
So there's a sport called netball, which is basically like basketball, except you can't run with the ball, and it's played in English. So you basically have to land and pass the ball, but the defender has to stay 3 feet away from you. Because you can't move, so they have to stand a distance away from you. And I was coaching this. Mostly it's a women's game, and I was coaching this sport. And one of the women I was coaching said, and I was explaining, look, this is 3 feet. This is how far, as soon as your opponent gets the ball, you need to step back this distance. And, there's a marking on the court that shows you what 3 feet is. And this woman on the team said, look, how can that be 3 feet when this is 12 inches? And I'm just going, well, I think, This is 3 feet. You might want to talk to whoever told you that was 12 inches.
You need to speak
That's
to your
not my
husband.
problem.
I think your husband is lying to you.
or he's not measuring from the same place that everyone else is.
This was a university netball team. They weren't married, none of them. So.
I want to address this. Crafty Keyless is plot hole JL. He said he went full flirt, desperate for a feud to remain relevant. And I have to say this: I was there for most of Team Stream. I didn't see all of it. He's stopped saying hi to me, so I think he doesn't forgive me for leaving Texas and going up north. Yeah. I think he's kind of heard about that. But I did catch him. Huh?
You're an Okie now.
I'm a transplant. So, but I've never even really considered myself a Texan. I'm a Californian. I'm from California. That's where I was born.
Not going to take that joke. I'm not going to take that joke.
Anyway, so but I popped over to AT2's channel, and right. I think Crafty's kind of hit the point there, because I think they were talking about Star Trek writing.
Well,
and there were like 12 people in his chat.
Here's the thing with Jared, and that whole AT2 Team Skeptic thing. They had that falling out. There was that rift, and I think he's just pissed off. Right? He's pissed off at Team Skeptic because Skeptic says some not so nice things about him, and he's lashing out. Eventually, this shit will go away. It'll stop happening. But you know what this is like whenever you have a falling out with your buddy and somebody you used to respect and thought the world of, and then all of a sudden they're calling you an idiot because you're supporting dumbasses, and then it's just that whole situation.
It seems like a lack of communication is what it seems like.
I think I'm going to step in here because I have more information.
Before you do real quick, Tony, sorry. Nimrod with 20 Swedish kronas, sex. Yeah, they're sex, but they're Swedish, right?
Kronas, yeah.
Kronas, yes. It says Craft Tequila, Blue and True, and Super Chat too. So thank you very much, Nimrod. I do appreciate that. It was amazing. So sorry about that. Go ahead, Tony.
Okay. So when was the last time anybody saw Foehammer?
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a hot minute.
Holy shit.
Do you know why Foehammer has chosen not to participate in the community anymore?
Yes.
It is because of his the role he perceives himself to have played in the doxing of Crafty Keeler. And the reason he did that was because Crafty sent him a message saying you should be very careful about what streams you appear on and who you associate with, because there is some stuff coming down the pipeline. He took that message.
She was giving him a heads up.
Right.
She was giving him a heads up.
Okay.
He took that message to AT2 Productions and asked him, "Is this a threat?" And AT2 Productions said, "Yes, that's a threat. This woman is threatening you." And that played a key piece of motivation in Foehammer participating in the doxing of Crafty Keeler, the publication of the video that doxed her. And I apologize because I shouldn't have brought this up without giving Keeler a heads up. But that's why we haven't seen Foehammer, is because Foehammer feels incredibly guilty about his role in that sequence of events. And AT2 Productions used him, manipulated him, fed him false information. As you say, it is obvious to any impartial observer that that was just a heads up. AT2 Productions deliberately misrepresented it as a threat. Foehammer responded by trusting AT2 Productions' judgment and responding appropriately. And this is how AT2 works. He doesn't do things himself. He manipulates and permits other people around him to do his dirty work for him. And then we all think, you guys think, well, it's some miscommunication between 82 and Team Skeptic. No, that's not what's going on.
No, I'm sorry. It's not that it's a miscommunication. There was a falling out because AT2 and Team, they used to, they were string together. They had a very a better than cordial relationship. Some would even say friendly relationship.
Yeah, it was that Reds, AT2, FTF. Right. I mean, there used to be a community there.
Right. There was that little subsect of a bigger community.
Yeah.
And it seems that when Team decided that he was no longer going to do Flat Earth content, that created a little bit of a rift. And then there was that perceived snubbing with the whole
DM Dumfuck of the Year bullshit. There was the whole Sean Hufford thing.
Right.
That led to that led to this dichotomy. And AT2 Productions has built his own community over there, where people talk about, they do a lot of drama stuff over there about, people that they don't like, people who, and when they talk in that sense, they use weapon references. So Nikki Triglavian Princess, for instance, talked about Crafty Keeler being in her reticule. A reticule, obviously, is the technical term for the sight of a weapon.
For a scope.
Okay. Yeah, that's not an appropriate terminology, right, for just a YouTube argument. Okay, you don't need to be bringing weapon references into this. And it's an unhealthy dynamic for people. They've got their identification that they're veterans, that they're, that they're all honorable, etc., etc. Except that AT2 Productions has demonstrated by his actions that he is not somebody you can trust for impartial advice. That is not who AT2 Productions is. And I feel that it is important that the community understand that, because a lot of this stuff has been sort of swept under the carpet because it's too awkward to talk about. AT2 Production manipulated Foehammer, and as a result of that manipulation, Foehammer is now lost to the community. Foehammer himself was a well-intentioned, entirely ethical and honorable individual. The only mistake he made was going to AT2 Productions for advice and listening to that advice. That's the only mistake he made. But as a result, we have lost Foehammer.
Well, I mean, if people can reach out to him and be like, "Hey, look, dude, we understand what happened. We get the finer nuance of it. Hey, Munchkin, is she feeling okay?
She's sad because she's not getting donuts.
Yeah. I would be sad too. What the fuck, man?
Whoa.
Where are the donuts?
It's what, 7 o'clock? 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock in the morning. It's not
9
early.
o'clock.
It's 9 o'clock.
9
o'clock. You get that lady a bear claw.
Okay. Yeah.
Cut your bear claw off.
But I get that. And yes, John Rapp is correct. This freaking drama, and it's kind of like.
Well, the only reason why I brought it up, and we talked about this in the green room, and I would give my reasoning for wanting to talk about this, is because we had those types of accusations can cost people. They can cost people their channels.
Yes,
we had a similar situation with a frauditor who went and reported like a sub 100 subscriber channel. This channel had like 50 subscribers. And because, again, on Schrodinger's, it was either on Schrodinger's channel or it was on Marvel Girls, but it was Schrodinger's stream, said, hey, go check this person out who likes to do vintage toy reviews and whatnot. nothing to do with any kind of, you know, debunking content or anything. It was a guy who liked to show off like his old toy collection, which was cool as shit. And they got him from like 40 subscribers to 60 subscribers. And because this frauditor who took offense to some of the things that were happening on the side chat, he went and reported to YouTube that this person was buying subscribers. So they paused his channel and took off all of the subscribers he got during that live stream. Now, if something like that were to happen to Team Skeptic, who is he's getting real close to 50,000 subscribers, he makes a pretty good haul with ad revenue and whatnot. What's the matter? Oh, he's a drooling dog, but he makes a pretty good, you know, pretty good amount of money with AdSense on his, you know, views and whatnot. That can cost Team Skeptic a significant amount of his main source of income. That shit is dangerous. Look what happened with Schrodinger. He's losing thousands of dollars while his channel is being investigated for copyright strikes that are bogus. So when these people do these types of things, when these targeted attacks happen, it's not just a he said, she said, rumor mill drama thing. This is stuff that can cost people their livelihoods.
I'm curious. I'm curious when dealing with this shit. And I haven't gotten into the finer points of like my channel is still too small to really be terribly concerned. When I start getting up there, I'm going to start digging into make sure that I'm protecting myself and everything. But my curiosity is, I mean, is YouTube in their terms of service or whatever? Are they absolutely protected from class action? Do they force arbitration before you can do anything? As being a part, the kind of the right you sign away when you decide create on their platform, or are they open?
There are certain legal rights that you can't sign away, right? So people can put whatever they want in the contract that you sign.
Right.
But the reality of what they're legally responsible for is unaffected by what you signed.
Those are just words on paper.
Those are just words on paper. They do not get to rewrite the legal code of the United States. You do not get to abdicate your rights by signing a contract with YouTube. So I would think.
Well, sometimes they in the terms of service, they can say that you can't go automatically to a class action like that. You have to go through arbitration first. And so they can't tell you that they can't take away your right to do something, but they can make you agree to that these are the steps you have to take before we get to that. Is like, so you got to go through arbitration. You got to go through this. You got to go. We basically do everything we can to settle it in-house before we go to court.
Well, see, but the problem that I have with that, and then a lot of creators, if anybody who's ever had to deal with YouTube, and this is from small to large, right? Bigger channels complain about this very thing. You'll notice this soon, JL. You'll have the creator chat up at the top in your YouTube studio, where you're supposedly able to speak to a live person with YouTube.
Really?
And if they are a live person, they only respond. Or not only, but the majority of the responses come in canned responses. So it's just like oh, well, this person, copy paste, right? The problem that we're getting with YouTube, and like for instance, take a look at the Susan Bassey video that I did. That Susan Bassey went and knowingly, falsely struck it. Okay, it was targeted. She told me she was going to do it, and she knows what fair use is. Okay. That's part of the terms of certain TOS with the copyright strike system. Side point, YouTube's copyright strike system is only there to protect YouTube, not to protect anybody else. It's not protect my copyright, your copyright, it's protect YouTube. That way, if some big like Time Warner Cable comes to them and says, hey, why are you allowing people to run our copyrighted material on your channel? They can say, well, no, you have opportunity to, here's the way you can take care of that. Boom, here it is. We'll whatever. So when Susan Bassey went and did that, it took YouTube 2 months to get that resolved. Now, according to the TOS, the way that's supposed to happen is she submits her DMCA claim takedown. YouTube takes down my video, notifies me, gives me the opportunity to let it ride and just go to copyright strike school. And then 3 months later, the copyright strike comes off, video stays down, whatever. Or I can file a counter petition. So I filed my Hey ho, hey ho. That's an old reference that only some people will get.
Whoops.
But just derailed my train of thought. No, so that's the way it's supposed to work. But after I submit my counter petition, YouTube has to approve my counter petition, which I think is bullshit. They should just forward my counter petition to the claimant. Once the claimant gets my counter petition, they have 10 business days to prove to YouTube with court documents that they're taking me to they're taking me to federal court with a copyright violation. It has to be in my state or where I'm at, not where she's at. It has to be where I'm at, right? So why did it take 2 months? She didn't take me to court because the video is back up. The copyright strike came off. And as a part of that, what YouTube says they do is they reverse copyright strikes back on people who do these false DMCA takedowns. And that's not happening either. So even operating within what YouTube says, hey, if you operate within these guidelines, you're protected, you're taken care of. YouTube is not honoring any of that. So why should we abide by their arbitrary clause?
Okay, so all right, so what you're proposing or what you're bringing up is that YouTube is legitimately in breach.
I think they are.
Okay, if YouTube is legitimately in breach, like we can see it. This is this, and this is obvious. Any lawyer would look at this again. Yep, YouTube is demonstrably in breach. This is grounds for a class action lawsuit.
We've had a few lawyers who do agree that this is demonstrably YouTube is 100% in breach of contract based on their own terms of service. So what people who don't, like, if you're not part of the YouTube partner programs, we all have to sign this contract between ourselves and YouTube. YouTube signs it as well, that we have this contract that says that we both will abide by the terms of service. They're not abiding by the terms of service.
So why has no one got, I mean, if it's legitimately there and it can be won in court and and it's not about money, it's about getting YouTube to change their TOS or to enforce their own TOS. So at least do something, but it's to force YouTube's hand.
So really if this is legit, and
why not? Why has no one rolled the ball on this?
There are people who are getting the ball ready to be rolled. So the problem is getting enough people on this on the class, because if it's a class action lawsuit, you've got to have a certain amount of litigants to actually join up in with this thing, or nobody's going to take it serious. Like, oh, there are 10 people trying to sue YouTube. Like, nobody cares. YouTube's like, whatever, we don't care. We need, we'd have to get the people like the SS Sniper Wolves, the PewDiePies, the big channels, the ones that are pulling in,
like PewDiePie would bite the hand that feeds him.
and so that's part of the problem, right? That's part of the problem is that these people are thinking, well, like PewDiePie is like, well, I've already been in trouble enough with YouTube. I've lost my premium status on the partner program, so I don't know if I want to continue. I don't know if I want to go down there. And he may not have had this type of interaction. He may not have ever been part of the.
Well, that's what happens when you say some of the stuff that you say.
This is true. So he may not actually.
I'm just saying.
No, yeah, right. He may not actually be affected by the copyright strike system, which is what these people like the bunkers and the soft set frauditor commentary channels, this is what they have to deal with. Like Rick Beato, what Rick Beato does is 100% fair use is textbook definition of fair use. Excuse me. And he gets copyright claimed every single video. Every single video.
That's insane. So does I think Thunderfoot does too.
Probably,
I think Thunderfoot gets nailed on everything he drops.
Right, I'm sure Thunderfoot has to spend a whole mess of time, fighting copyright this. And the problem is, whenever you get claimed, well, no, claimed is okay because they still put the video out. What they do is they'll escrow all of the ad revenue until it gets sorted. But even that system is dumb, right? So somebody like, let's say I do a commentary video on PhD Tony's entropy video. And PhD Tony says, nope, I'm going to claim the content there. He's not going to copyright strike me, but he's going to claim the content. So he files this. I'm just claiming the content. You can leave your video up, but I'll take the ad revenue. And I say, no, Tony, you can't do that because what I've done is I've transformed your original video and made it something new. So this is a new video. This is new content because I am using your video. either for news purposes, commentary purposes, educational purposes, whatever the tenets of fair use is. So I go back and I counter that. I say, no, here's my counter to that. I think this is the reason why that you should release your copyright claim. Now, that doesn't go to YouTube. That goes to Tony, the guy who made the original claim.
Morning, Globerman. Let's get that in. Go ahead.
Now, do you think that the person who made the original claim is going to agree with me? Most of the time, they don't.
No.
And when they do, they'll just let it sit for 30 days, hoping that you cancel it. Because after 30 days, it automatically falls off. And then you get the ad revenue that comes in, not the next payment, but the payment after, because it has to process through all that stuff.
So it delays it, but they do back pay. I mean, what you are entitled to, they give to you.
We think, right? Because there's no real way of tracking. There's no real way of tracking the traffic from AdSense. At least there may be. I'm just not as familiar with it as some other people might be. So, okay, there's that process. Now, let's say PhD Tony comes back and says, no, I disagree with you. So I am going to force the issue, and I'm going to tell YouTube that if you don't cancel your content claim, I am going to file a DMCA claim takedown, have your content pulled, and issue a copyright strike on your channel, right? That's another thing that you have, quote, time to dispute here. I mean, okay, this is sorry, we're getting coffee refill over here. Very awkward.
I need to run to the restroom real quick. But when I get back, I have something I want to add. I mean, if we're done with this one, I have something I need to ask Tony about climate change.
Sure. Okay. So then there's that whole
look at your face.
I was like, oh hell. So then there's that whole runaround process that again does not go back to YouTube. It goes to PhD Tony. If I say nope, I need you to go ahead and strike my channel. You have to let your channel get stricken, and then go through that whole DMCA where you file a counter petition and whatever. It's just this long roundabout process that a lot of time and energy that YouTube has very little access in. What's up, baby? Oh, here. She wants to watch. 1 sec. And there. Boom. There you go. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's part of the issue. And the thing is, there is a channel that I think it was 2 months ago. It was News Now Patrick, who went to at least 15 different content creators and copyright struck their videos, had their videos taken down, that all of them were counter petitioned, and he never took anybody to court. Now, what's supposed to happen with the copyright strike system is that YouTube is supposed to reverse the strike according to their terms of service. So what would happen is if Tony struck me, but it was false, it would get turned around and put back on Tony's channel. Now, after 3 copyright strikes, your channel is supposed to be deleted. Yet News Now Patrick, who did this, I believe it was 15 other videos, still has a channel. YouTube is not following their own terms of service.
No. So there is a. Have you made YouTube aware of their failure to comply with the terms of the contract?
I reached out during the Susan Bassey thing twice. Once about I think it was the day after so I gave it 14 days. I want to say day 15 after my counter petition was submitted to Susan Bassey. And she hadn't sued me. Now she responded to it to keep it in limbo, but nobody at YouTube was paying attention. And I said, hey, how long does it take for this review process to happen? Because, it's been 2 weeks. It's been 2 business weeks. It's been 14 days. It's day 15. What's going on? Oh, well, sometimes we need to, it takes a little longer, blah, 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 blah. So I said, whatever. I gave it some time, and I waited and waited and waited. And then a month after, I finally contacted YouTube again and said, hey, guys, this is costing me money. So what's the deal? Why is this still under review? Well, 2 hours later, because they figured out, oh, we've got our heads up our asses, they went and took the strike off my channel and reinstated my video. And I just don't think they care that much, because it's like my small channel does not affect them in any way, shape, or form. Schrodinger's Cat's channel at 100,000 plus subscribers He makes thousands of dollars per video. YouTube makes exponentially more than that. Just a second. Oh, I know. We will. But they're making, I mean, if Schrodinger is making thousands per video, they're making quite a bit more than they're paying. They pay him. And they don't care. They're not caring to take care of, because he had 5 copyright strikes at once, which is unheard of. You're not supposed to have 5. You're supposed to have 3, then your channel is gone. We had 5 at once. It's going to take either every single one of the smaller channels or some of the bigger channels, some of the 1 million+ subscriber channels are going to have to help. You're going to have to get involved with this, because it is a deal. Their YouTube terms, they're not following them. They're not upholding their end of the bargain.
Well, I kind of think that you need to. So my communication, when you communicate with YouTube, you kind of need to make it clear. So my understanding of the contract that we have with one another is that this is the case. But you're not doing that. So would you care to explain why that is occurring? And if you put things in those terms, I suspect that YouTube is going to start becoming more aware. Well, YouTube is going to start becoming more responsive to the position that they're in. I think that YouTube probably understand well enough the fact that they're sort of skirting around the law. They're kind of relying on the fact that nobody's actually getting them to commit. So, when you send them an email, can you please confirm that you are now in breach of the contract we signed? Or if you think you're not, can you explain why you're not in breach of the contract we signed? I kind of think that even sort of modest YouTube creators, if they started taking that position, would precipitate an adjustment of posture from YouTube.
As I understand it,
hi, Mama Tega's Madness.
That's actually Jocelyn. She's saying hi. She's
hey, Jocelyn.
But as I understand it, that was a process that was put through with the whole News Now Patrick business on the behalf of Schrodinger. It was Schrodinger, Radical. There was a whole bunch of folk that were affected by 15 different people at least that were affected by this. That did say, "Hey, what's going on here? Why is the TOS not being followed? Why does News Now Patrick still have a channel? This should be 15 copyright strikes on his channel." But again, I just don't think they care. I think they're looking at they don't see a 100,000 subscriber channel as significant.
Yeah, well, that might be.
I'll say personally, I think that I don't like the drama. I think the drama is unnecessary. I think that the vast majority of us are adults or are above this, and obviously egos are involved. Feelings are feelings. What bugs me is that many of us in this community, we insist, we talk about how appeals to emotion are not grounds for justifying behavior or justifying positions. That just because you feel a certain way doesn't justify, how certain reactions, because it's not based on evidence, it's not based on reality. It's based upon how you feel, your reaction thing, and that if you're not able to separate these two things, you're inclined to behave irrationally, because irrational beliefs lead to irrational behavior. And so many of us in this community, on all sides, on all these little tribalistic islands that all of a sudden that have been created, we are all saying the same damn thing. Rationality logic, reason. These are the things that we use to come to the conclusions that we come to. And we don't appeal to ignorance. We don't appeal to incredulity. We don't appeal to emotion. And then within this shit happens. Now we have all of a sudden, instead of being one island that we proudly call the debunking community, where we put up these lofty goals. I could say these things that we held, of these standards we held ourselves to, these very high standards, and then we demand that others hold themselves to these same standards for their intellectual honesty, which is fine. We can do that. We can say, no, you if you want to be honest and you want to say these things, you have to hold yourself to these standards. We hold ourselves to these standards, but apparently we do not. Apparently the vast majority of the community does not do this, because the minute fifis get hurt, there is that, it's not about that feelings are getting hurt. It's that fifis get hurt, and now all communication fucking breaks down. My fifis are hurt, so I'm not talking, or I'm going to lash out, or I'm going to do this, instead of discussing what happened to ensure that it's nothing more than a miscommunication. Now, like in the sense of what AT2 did, that's bullshit. Okay, right. It's, especially since we know it and it's demonstrable, and we can say, look at this, paper trail. We know that AT2 did this, so we can, we curse AT2 to be like, no, you did this. Well, we understand it. We know it. Bye, you're done. But then there's division there. People don't want to believe it, or people just reject evidence, or whatever. They stay on that one side because they happen to like one person, or they are familiar with them more than they are somebody else. And then people like Foe get caught in the middle because Foe is young. I mean, not to knock him. Foe is knowledgeable. Foe is a good dude. I've never had a bad interaction with Foe. Foe always struck me as a really good dude. But Foe is caught in the middle. Mm-hmm. Foe is impressionable, especially by channels that are much, much larger than him. He falls in with the bad element. And unfortunately, now it's Lonesome Dove, and he's out there on the horse.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, for those old enough to get that reference. So this is what I don't like. And that's why I really love being a part of the Beardsmen here, is because, not to say that, and I know it sounds so terrible, I almost feel elitist for saying it, because we, the four of us, will sit down when we're not live, we will sit and we will talk about these things. We will lay this all out. Okay, I've got this information. Let's compare our notes and make sure it's like, okay, I know I'm not coming to a bad conclusion.
Did you see my comment?
I did see your comment, sweetheart.
He says, yes, he saw it.
So, and that is that's what aggravates the shit out of me, is that when I have information and Johnny's got information and Tony's got it and Irish has got it, then we will compare notes and make sure that we are coming to the appropriate conclusion. And then,
well, at least we're not going to just go off of, hey, JL, so-and-so says this about you. Fuck that guy. Oh, I'm JL. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
I would be like,
exactly.
Even I would be, if you said that, I'd be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Hang on a second.
Exactly. we come together and we say, hey, am I out of line here? It's not, is this person out of line? Usually it's, am I out of line? I just want to make sure that we're not, being.
That was very penguin.
Yeah.
Craft Tequila says, JL, I want to be very clear. I've never asked anyone to not support the creators. I've always said support who you want, but protect yourself. And I agree with that. Support who you like and protect yourself. Yeah. But try and recognize that the standards we hold ourselves to, when we call ourselves the debunking community, that the standards we hold ourselves to, and this is not directed at Keela. I think this applies to everybody. This applies to Team. This applies to FTFE. This applies to Reds. This applies to AT2. This applies to everyone who's considered part, all the way up to Simon Dan, all the way down to PhD Tony.
Why is he on the bottom of that?
So it applies to everyone. It applies to everybody. And that is because that is how we maintain our intellectual honesty. That is how we set the standard that we ourselves live by. And then when other people when Flurfs or log allergy deniers or young earth creationists or any of these other cats or Sov sits or whatever frauditors, they come at us and they say, at least in that, when we have these arguments, we say, these are the standards we set. These are the standards we live by. These are the standards that we hold ourselves to. And if you're going to make claims about reality, we're going to hold you to these same standards. That's why we can have a conversation. That's why we can have an argument. But when you look at the societal division that is taking place in this, and I speak on it because Bridge the Divide is my whole thing. the evidence is one thing, but we've got to stop making these knee-jerk reactions to emotional bullshit.
Well, okay, but here's the thing.
3 months down the line, it is not going to fucking matter.
Well, yeah, right. I want to make this clear. There's nothing wrong with having an emotional response or even acting out of emotion from time to time, because we are human beings. We are emotional things. We deal that. I mean, in all honesty, if we talk about like the reason why we talk about flat Earth and whatnot is not solely because it's logically consistent with reality, but because there are tons of people out there who acknowledge that the Earth is a globe because it's logically consistent, that don't spend the manpower, the hours, and the time to make one YouTube video about flat Earth and debunking it, right? So there was something that emotionally triggered us as a person. When somebody says the Earth is flat, like what the fuck, whatever that is. There's nothing wrong with that per se. What it is, where the problem comes is when you allow that to be the sole driver of why you do what you do.
Right.
So if you sit there and say, well, I don't like it because it irritates me, so I'm going to just go on the attack. I'm not naming names, Sean Hawkins, but when we do stuff like that, that's when we become the same as those
that's how we go from the mountain of rationality to the Caribbean of fucking egoism and opinion. Right. We're all these little individual islands. Yeah, we're all these little individual islands praising the people like that. Colin said, JL, we should all remember that the people who you step on the way up are the ones who will have to catch you when you fall. So be kind and nice, don't be nasty to others.
Right.
I like to think of it as the bigger creators were always like Sherpas to me. The guys who were ahead of the deal, it wasn't that I had to step on anybody small, like that they helped me learn so I could grow myself. And then when if I ever were to arrive at that level, I will Sherpa the next people beneath me. And that is how we will maintain integrity and help this community to grow.
Mm-hmm. I think both images are fine actually, because from Colin's metaphor, right, the people you step on, either they're unwilling to be stepped on or they're willing to support you on your way up. And if they're willing to support you on your way up, they're willing to catch you when you fall.
Right.
If they're unwilling to support you on your way up, if you're just crushing them under your foot, then they're not going to be there to catch you when you fall. So I think that you and Colin are actually making sort of the same point. It's like sort of crowd surfing in a mosh pit, right?
Yeah.
Which is something that, of course, I am absolutely familiar with, right?
Look, Tony, it would not surprise me had you been in like some of the heaviest of pits in the world. Like I could see PhD Tony fucking crowd surfing in a Slayer pit. That's all I'm saying.
Let me see here. Thank you, Craft Tequila says, I still like you even though you believe in ghosts. Had to bring it back up. Had to do it.
That's never gone away.
I know. I love Crafty, absolutely, and she's got to throw it out there. So I'm not going to just.
You might as well just get a shirt that says "I love ghosts."
Probably should. That should be a shirt. If I make shirts for my personal channel, that should be a shirt that I sell.
You should.
What, nuclear powered ghosts? Should that be it?
Something like that. That's pretty.
Should it be like alternative energy equals ghosts? Should it just be that?
Or my rebirth? It was something. Got to be something. You got to like lasso religion in there somehow too. You know what I mean? Something about rebirth. I want to be the ghost of so and so.
To respond to the chat, good night, John Rapp.
Night, John Rapp.
And B, I apologize so much for the sound of my away from camera adventures. I thought that I had muted my microphone, but it turns out I was wearing my headphones, and it turns out that my headphone mic was on. That was the one that StreamYard was listening to, much to my chagrin and mortification. So apologies to everybody.
I figured you were just replacing the ice in your hyperbaric chamber or something.
Yeah. Something like that. Let's pretend that that's what I was doing.
Hey, Captain Welshie. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Contributing to the water table.
Okay, and Robert Caslow. Caslow says, "What's up, my globetards?"
Mm-hmm. But I think that you make an excellent point. That we need to, I think the way forward for AT2 Productions would be to just forget about Team Skeptic. If you need to rip down somebody else in order to make yourself feel important, I think that's a warning sign, right? An AT2 Productions needs to just, stand on his own 2 feet and not try to attack any other creator.
Mm-hmm.
I would invite the live chat to. I'd invite the live chat to hold them more accountable. I would expect my live chat. I would expect my audience to hold me to account, because they are the feedback I get from them is like the first line of defense I have to keeping myself intellectually honest. Now I also have you guys. I have you all as well, but I fully expect that if I talk out of my ass or I'm like blah 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 blah, and then all of a sudden goes whoa, and I was like, then I got to pull back and I got to fix. I got to recorrect. So
yeah. So I mean, I made a point of
Charlie Welch,
laying out the sequence of events with regard to Fohammer and AT2 Productions. And if AT2 Productions wants to dispute that sequence of events, I suggest he should invite Fohammer on to get him to support his side of events, because I don't think that Fohammer will come on to support AT2 Productions' side of events. But the reason I do that is because people like this. There was a point where myself and Crafty and Jessica G, on the basis of our experiences, had decided that Ilyamoon was something of a dangerous presence. Yep. Yeah, was what she was. She was a dangerous presence in our community. And I kind of feel like a lot of people who are dangerous, who are, I would use the word toxic, they rely on the fact that everybody's too polite to say that about them. And the sad reality is, I'm not too polite to say that about people. If I think somebody's toxic, I'm going to say that they're fucking toxic. And I may not make a point of doing it. I didn't make a point of doing it as far as Ilyamoon was concerned. And actually, to some extent, I feel like I let the community down by not doing that. By not taking a firmer stand against Ilyamoon. And Ilyamoon, I think, and Globermum was in the chat earlier. Globermum is in many respects a victim of Ilyamoon's malice. Ilyamoon lured Globermum in with these lies and this sort of mythology, and Globermum was very much a victim of Ilyamoon in that respect. But everybody in the community was, and my hope is, when I am not going to sit in judgment over AT2 Productions as a whole, but when he does things that are toxic, and this recent escapade was toxic, I'm going to tell him and everybody else that's toxic, because the last time I didn't say that, and I feel like I let everybody down. But this time around, that's toxic. Don't tolerate it, people, because it's just nasty.
So, I agree with everything you're saying. Something I want to bring up because I want to make sure that we get this in before Tony has to go before he has to get back to the chamber. So there was a report that just came out recently. The ICCB report that just dropped.
IPCC.
IPCC, sorry, the IPCC report that just dropped a couple of days ago. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because Australia has opted not to shut down or to shut down their coal production because of the results of this. I got the sense that the reason Australia is doing this is because I want your clarification, is because the situation is this side of hopeless.
No. Basically it comes down to money. The Australian government and the Australian public at large see coal mining and mining in general as extremely profitable, and they are unwilling to give it up in pursuit of the greater good. Now, and one of the there are multiple arguments that they use in this favor, but one of them is that actually Australia is a very small contributor on a global scale. So it doesn't matter that we are one of the greatest contributors per head of population, because our population's small. So who gives a fuck what we do? So until the international community actually taxes the fuck out of Australia for being, irresponsible members of the global community, Australians aren't going to give a rat's ass because it's not costing them. I mentioned this previously in the, we are reactionary religious fundamentalist ratbags as a general rule. That is how Australia votes. So you imagine America, Australia is more conservative. Right? We are more conservative than America. The fact that Rupert Murdoch came from Australia is not a coincidence. The vast majority, and Australia has its share of liberals living in the cities, but the fact is that we have a lot of people living, on the edges of the cities and out in the rural communities, and those people are as conservative as fuck, right? They will tolerate, if somebody came into their community and said, well, I happen to be an Asian bisexual, they would tolerate them. But that does not mean that they tolerate bisexuality or intersex marriage or Asians in general. They just make an exception for people that they actually know. But their default intellectual mindset is that foreigners, people who are racially different from them, people who are religiously different from them, and people who are sexually divergent from what they regard as normal and healthy are untrustworthy and unacceptable. And that's the sad reality of Australian politics. We are an astonishingly conservative country, and our denialism to climate change is going to persist way past any other country, because there's money in it as far as we're concerned.
Gotcha. And as Crafty Kid has said, I put up there, the IPCC report is damning, and it was deeply, I would say, scary in some respects. Daryl M is correct, says we can't stop coal production, we need to start phasing it out. The problem is that what I took, my takeaway was, it doesn't matter that these were decisions that should have been made 10 to 20 years ago.
So
without it saying the sky is falling, I got a very real sense that the sky is falling?
So the university that I work at is the Australian National University, and one of the people who worked there, one of the prominent scientists who worked there, was a man by the name of Professor Frank Fenner. Now, Frank Fenner started life as a doctor, and you can look him up on Wikipedia if you want. But he was the person that the United Nations tasked with certifying that smallpox was eradicated. And he became very interested in the relationship between humans and their environment, the impact on human health of the environment. So that interaction. So he founded what later became called the Fenner School of Environmental Sciences. He was asked about his opinion about climate change. And his response was that within 100 years, humanity would be extinct due to a combination of climate change and overpopulation, and that it was too late to do anything about it. He gave that answer back in 2010. Now, I'm hoping he's wrong, but I don't know that he's wrong. And the longer we leave it before we do something dramatic, the less likely that it is that he's wrong. This is an existential threat. I understand that, and humans are very bad at this level of threat. They're very bad at even COVID level of threat. They're very good at, there's a tiger, here's a bunch of adrenaline, now I need to do something about it, or I'm hungry as fuck and I need to do something about it. But the idea that 50 years down the track, everybody could be doomed to die of starvation,
right,
before catastrophic failure of the planet. Yeah.
That is not a threat that humans are designed to respond to, and their mindset in approaching it is not appropriate. And I am scared as fuck. Now, it may turn out that Fenner was wrong, and we get through this, with minimal casualties. But if that happens, that owes fuck all to decent planning and everything to blind fucking luck.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would say like that kind of happened with Toba. Is like it was by blind fucking luck, by humans wanting to wander around. We were able to see our species was able to survive that eruption. We got lucky, and we got lucky a number of times when it comes to survival of our species. But
it is quite likely that So let's take one example, and this is the example that I always come up to. So the projections are that within 50 years, 60% of India will be too hot for people to undertake manual labor. And in fact, we're ahead of that time schedule. India and Pakistan. It's going to be too hot for people to go outside and collect food or grow food or plant food. So that is about 1 billion people who can no longer support themselves. Where do they go? What do they do? They can't go into Bangladesh. Bangladesh is going to be underwater. They can't go into the Middle East because the Middle East is going to be completely uninhabitable without air conditioning. So the only avenue left to them is China. So we've got the population of India and Pakistan wanting to occupy China.
Jeez.
You know what all three of those countries have in common?
Billions of people.
They're all nuclear powers. So if push comes to shove, and the Indians either have to die of thirst and hunger in India, or engage in a hot war with China, which do you think offers their best chance? It's the hot war with China. And this is where we start circling the drain. This is actually extremely dangerous. And actually, Keela, I am not doomed because I will be dead well before this occurs. I don't,
you're all doomed. No one ever listens to Ralph. The Ralph Neely reference from Friday the 13th. You're doomed. You're all doomed. Then he gets on his bike and he just, and he rides away.
He rides away, and then
but actually, there's an Australian poem called Hanrahan. We'll all be ruined, said Hanrahan. Anyway, but it's there is every reason to be deeply concerned about the trajectory that this is taking, and the inability of the global community to recognize this as a threat. And basically, we don't have any options now to prevent a lot of what's going to unfold. It's going
as of right now, we're at 412 ppm. Is what I last checked.
We need that number to be what, around like 12?
I think the last time, someone wrote that the last time that there was this much CO2 in the atmosphere, the oceans were considerably higher. And
well, I'm not sure that. So the last time that CO2 levels would basically Antarctica hadn't formed yet. There was no ice sheet in Greenland. So the oceans were considerably higher.
Mark in the work says it was the Carboniferous era.
Yeah. Well, I think actually sort of a little bit more recent than that. But
something I heard is
millions of years ago.
But something I heard is, I mean, judging by what you know, and obviously I'm not trying to incite a panic or something of this nature.
Mm-hmm.
Is I mean, we're cruising at a strong head. We got a good headwind going towards 450. And I've heard people say 450. I've heard people say 500. But either way, then there's some people that say that we are already past it. It's all. I mean, it's legitimately it's out of our hands now. That we can literally shut off all the cars tomorrow. No more cars on the planet, and it wouldn't matter. We're already past the tipping point. We're already past the point where we're in a vicious cycle.
So this is one of the difficulties with this entire field. So let's assume that human beings stopped emitting carbon tomorrow. So the warming that carbon dioxide is going to produce is still going to continue for another 50 to 60 years, right? The carbon dioxide we've already emitted hasn't finished doing its job yet. So there's still another 50 to 60 years after we stop emitting before that happens. Now, actually, half of the CO2 that humans have emitted in the past 150 years has ended up either in plants or in the ocean. Now, if we reduce carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere, then the carbon dioxide in the ocean is going to be released back into the atmosphere. So that turns out to be on loan. If temperatures get high enough, then the plants that have absorbed the CO2 are going to die. So they're going to release all the CO2 that they've absorbed. So
our behavior is writing checks our planet can't cash.
Yes. So there's and you're leaving methane out of the equation. So there are the melting of permafrost in Siberia, for instance, is releasing methane. Methane is actually, you will hear a lot of people in the news saying that methane is a vastly more powerful greenhouse gas. It isn't. If you had an equal amount of methane and an equal amount of CO2 on two different planets, the CO2 planet would be much hotter. But the response of the system depends on how much is already there. And comparatively, there's a lot of CO2 versus very little methane. So actually, releasing methane has a disproportionate effect beyond its strength as it's because there's very little methane there. It's very easy to double the amount of methane present in the atmosphere, and that's why methane is actually a very dangerous greenhouse gas.
Hey, Mr. Andrat.
In our current circumstances, there are multiple natural reservoirs of methane that can go off. There are what's called clathrates, which is frozen methane on the ocean floor, which can melt and bubble up through the ocean, acidify the ocean, and then release methane or carbon dioxide into the air. Or there's methane in permafrost that can be released. And the sad reality is that there may be threats that modern science isn't aware of yet. And it's like driving through a minefield. You won't know where the mines are until you hit one. And it would be best not to go into the minefield at all. But
have a good one in Rich Atheism.
We've decided instead of avoiding the minefield, let's drive through it at 100 miles an hour.
With a big fucking Hummer.
With a big fucking Hummer and see how we do.
Joe Webb, which I like that. In other words, we're fucked. Is what I'm getting now. Like I see from
how bad it's going to be really.
From your perspective, from Tony's perspective as well. Like my wife and I are looking at this thing, and it's we're not. I mean, we don't have kids, and we don't intend to have kids. If anything, if we ever did, we would probably adopt because there's a lot of kids out there that need homes and parents that don't have them, but don't need to add to the problem. But chances are we're not going to be doing this. So we're going to be dead before she and I will both be dead long before this. It becomes like long before this planet becomes a Cormac McCarthy novel. But inevitably, I'm getting the sensation, especially I'm getting the feeling from that report, and not a lot of people are willing to talk about it. That's why it kind of came and it went, and there wasn't a lot of hullabaloo because I'm thinking I got the real sensation that that's it. It's like that already a human being has been born that will die from catastrophic failure of the planet.
Well, that's already happened. So, in terms of deaths that climate change has caused, so climate change already causes tens of thousands of deaths per year. Already, that's what we're living with now, and it's only going to get worse in the future.
Peter Collins says,
Peter
Collins says, my daughter is 5, I'm 50, but it still scares the fucking shit out of me.
Well, it should on your daughter's behalf, right? I mean, this is the thing, and Mr. Andrat says, it's the planet will be fine. Like the planet will adjust. There will be life forms that persist through this. Generally, the extinction threshold is about 3 kilograms. Things that are above 3 kilograms tend to find it very difficult to survive, but things below 3 kilograms can adapt very easily. Though I have to say, I find it very difficult to see domestic cats going extinct. Like mice will survive, rats will survive, insects will survive, and I kind of feel like cats will survive if those things survive. But anyway, that's just me sort of
well, small
perhaps
cat,
having a bias towards
domesticated cats,
domesticated cats, things like tigers and lions, etc. Yeah,
and without human beings, and the rats are there, and the rats flourish in the aftermath of humanity. Meaning the cats would flourish in the aftermath of humanity because there'd be no one to control their population. So the cats then feast on them. There's no one to control their population, and then that means the dogs would as well, because feral dogs will eat cats. And also rats as well. So, I mean, we have populations building. Ooh, it could be anthropomorphic felines or canines that are the next species. Personally, I think that the next species that takes over will be the cockroach or the water bear.
Well, I mean, tardigrades.
Tardigrades, yeah. I think that
technical term, but
I think that the two species that are poised to have the opportunity to do so, just by virtue of their evolution, is either the cockroach or the tardigrade. They're in a position where if there was zero competition whatsoever, that they could fill that niche quite well.
Yeah, but I do think that intelligence plays a role in
just
beyond
takes the right
mutation,
individual. The right connection of the right mutation of a chromosome. All it takes.
No, it doesn't. It takes a certain amount of processing power, and cockroaches and tardigrades are not large enough to contain sufficient processing power.
Not currently large enough.
They have been large enough in the past, and instead they chose to be 8-foot long fucking cockroach tanks, and look what good it did them.
Oh, we got some interesting dystopian apocalyptic situations. Planet of the Apes is Joe Webb says Planet of the Apes was wrong. It'll be Planet of the Tabbies. Glober Mom says the cockroach is like a Damnation Alley. It's bad. Craft Killer says Rise of the Planet of the Cat. You never know.
No, because they would just push all the stuff over the edge of the earth.
That's true.
Let me see. Oh, Daryl says Rise of the Planet of the Kangaroo.
That's probably more accurate.
So the kangaroo is extremely well adapted, but it's kind of an out-of-date prototype, right? Most marsupials died out millions of years ago, so I can't really see marsupials surviving the coming apocalypse. But,
Get your paws off me, you damn dirty roo. Oh, look at that Joey. Holy shit, he's got a gun. Arguably one of the best scenes ever was the kangaroo with a fucking rifle.
Yeah. He is a national treasure, that's for certain. Yeah.
Oh man, Demon Orb says Nibiru will destroy the Earth soon, so don't worry about it. Actually, as funny as that is, the guy I will be covering in my next video, John MacArthur, made a statement that really freaked me out, that really just disturbed me, because this a-hole, I wonder if I still have it. No, I grabbed a picture of it, but he made a comment regarding the Earth and the reason for his for what he does, for what he preaches, and it was God intended for this Earth to be disposable.
They'll do anything to justify their stupidity.
Yeah. So I look forward to breaking this guy down big time and showing everybody all of the cool evidence that I have.
I want to make I feel like I've overlooked making a particular point. If we want to do anything effective about our carbon emissions, it's not the responsibility of any one person. One person can't make a difference. Okay, we need to change our markets. That's what needs to change.
That's what they said about Genghis Khan too.
Individual choices, no individual can or should feel guilty about what they're doing. It's the system, it's the markets that need to be adjusted. Without
they said Genghis Khan would like that. They said Genghis Khan wouldn't. It was just one guy. And I think he removed 250 metric tons of carbon from the earth.
There is a suggestion that he did do that. Yes,
I'm doing it for the earth.
He might have had an effect on global climate.
Wouldn't that be the story? Like, we think of him as this mass murderer who went around pillaging, raping, and killing, but in reality, he was like, "Hey guys, God told me that if I don't kill these people, they're going to create a lot of farts, which is going to kill everybody. So we got to do it. I don't want it, but we gotta. While we're doing it, let's put their heads on spikes."
It's more burning stuff that is the farting, not so much of a problem. Burning stuff. That's.
Well, who knows if the planet will survive? Will survive us? I have no doubt the planet will survive us. The planet has been through a hell of a lot worse. The KT extinction event, obviously, the planet made it through that. So the planet will survive us. The question is, will we survive the planet? Because I have a feeling if we push it to its extremes, that this thing will shake us off like water on a dog.
Are you familiar with the term "the Great Dying"?
Yes, that was not the KT. That was another one where it was like 90% of all species.
That's the Permian Triassic.
The PT, yeah.
Yeah, and so the causal mechanism that is currently attributed to is, would it surprise you to learn, carbon dioxide emissions?
Peter Calling says, in 50 years from now, your Weekend Horror Marathon will just be all of us watching the news instead of Jason or Freddy. Sad state of affairs. It is sad. It is sad. I don't know.
Sad state of affairs.
I don't know where it's going, but I will say this. I have no idea how this is going to suss out. I know that most likely I will not be alive to see how it susses out in the end. But I will say this: humans have a real knack for being lucky, or I would say insidiously inventive when it comes to desperation. Desperation is the mother of invention, and human beings, whether their actions are good or bad or moral or immoral, it's like human beings have a real knack for getting themselves out of tight jams by doing something. We're really good with the Hail Marys. No matter what that Hail Mary might be, we're pretty good with the Hail Marys. And
this comes from the guy who doesn't believe in Jesus.
I'm talking about the fun.
I know.
I need to put in a caveat there. The Hail Mary concerned doesn't need to extend to just a group of people. It needs to extend to a sustainably diverse genetics pool, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need a large group with diverse genetic characteristics.
Only like 16.
Sustainable going forward.
Only like 16,000. We don't need a tremendous amount.
Tony says, "Don't have sex with your sister, everybody."
I was like, sure, genetic diversity is important, as we can see in the species that we have culled to the point of near extinction, that we've put them into situations where there is not enough genetic diversity, and inbreeding alone is what will eventually befall them. Until we can figure out, how to manipulate genes to the point where we can create, or we can basically make new animals that they can breed with in order to introduce genetic diversity. But when it comes down to it, but we only need like 16, 20,000 human beings, and we can rebuild from there. It's all good. Peter Collins says, true. I've seen Bruce Willis getting us out of almost any sticky situation. So
the problem is Bruce Willis he's already mentally gone, but yeah, he'll phone it in. He'll phone his performance in and cost everybody else their life.
Crap Tequila says, if jail's going to start praying, I'm out. Nope, you won't catch me doing that. I'm just saying that I have some respect for human beings, whether they we just have a knack for getting ourselves out of bad situations. And we're imaginative. We're an imaginative species. We get really creative, sometimes to very nasty, immediate outcomes, but it can result in, when it comes to the survival of the species, the question is, how far are humans willing to go? And I have a feeling that human beings will go really far when it comes to the survival of our species. But I guess we'll find out.
I don't think so. If we were so focused on the species, we would have already done something. I think that our survival instincts are actually focused on the survival of the individual and the family unit. And I don't think that we're guaranteed to think on a large enough scale to accomplish what you're suggesting. But, ultimately, this is all speculation. Time will tell.
This is true. All right, then. Well, I saw a message. Johnny's going to have to go here shortly, and we've been going for almost 2.5 hours. I know that Tony's got to be – although you're surprisingly energetic, Tony. I think you're doing much better than –
It's the whiskey, isn't it?
Yeah. It is the whiskey. The whiskey certainly helps, yes.
I don't know how you guys drink on stream. I wouldn't trust myself to drink on stream. But it's good for Tony because that's how we get yes you fucking can moments, or yes I fucking can moments. That's how we get those moments. All right, so I want to thank everybody for coming out for this episode of Four Beardsmen of the Apocalypse. So we were down to 3 while we sort out our time issues. There will be a time change. So look for that coming up in the future when we reschedule to accommodate Irish situation, Tony's situation, and ours. So we will be starting at a new time here pretty soon. Let's go around the table. What's everybody got going on? Johnny, tell everybody what's going on this week.
Let's see here. I've got my response to Susan Bass coming out Friday. That'll be Dingleberries, and of course the weekend or the week wrap up on Monday. Maybe I'll do a live stream or 2 during the week. It depends on work schedules and whatnot. And of course, Weekend Horror is going to be fun. Mm-hmm. Lots of good stuff. Lots of ways to catch Johnny O on the old YouTubes.
And PhD Toba.
So I'm working on a video about rally waves and how they prove the shape of the Earth. I've already done that a little bit, but I want to do it with sort of improved graphics and something approaching an animation or a sequence of stills anyway. I yesterday spent 3 hours in verbal communication with Tony Naum, which some people will recognize as MC Toon's guest from earlier in the week. He is a genial, if slightly confused individual. So we'll see where that leads. It was very amicable, surprisingly, for any conversation that involves me. Anyway.
Awesome. And I myself have a new video coming out this week. It's awesome. I'm finally in a position where I can shorten up the downtime between my vids. So I'm looking forward to putting this one out. I'll actually be working on it later today. And I've got a new episode of the new episode of Week in Horror drops to wherever you listen to podcasts, everywhere. That drops at noon. And of course, this upcoming episode on Wednesday of Week in Horror is our 100th episode. 100 episodes of the podcast. Yes. And I'm so excited about it. This is our 100th episode. And in September will be our season finale. Will be our upcoming season finale for Week in Horror. So I am super excited. I'll finally get to debut the artwork for season 3, which I'm really excited about. Josh did an amazing job putting that stuff together, and I can't wait to show it. But yeah, episode 100 this Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. Holy crap. I can't believe we made it this far. We're in triple digits. I'm kind of excited. So I'm kind of super excited about it. So yeah, bunch of cool stuff coming up. And I hope you guys dig the video that I'll be dropping a little bit later. I think I'll most likely either be Tuesday. Depends upon how long. I think it should be pretty quick. I'm getting pretty fast at putting them together. So Crafty says, JL, make it so it's not stupid o'clock in the morning. We will try. We'll definitely try. And Robert W. Gyroscope says, you didn't ask Irish what he has coming up. Irish, what you got coming up? That's great. Thanks, buddy.
He's going to, wake up, make a video about it. Make a video about it.
I want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart for all of the cool super chats that y'all sent. This is absolutely awesome. It was my first. This is my first monetized stream where I can accept super chats, and that's fucking cool as shit. And hopefully memberships will be available. Those will get approved here, and you'll be able to see the join button on my channel. So thank you, everyone who super chatted. Thank you to all the new mods in there. You guys are fucking amazing. I couldn't do this without you. I really couldn't. So without further ado, I guess we'll bounce out of here. Do we have anything closing?
Yeah. You ready? Hang on. Let me get it. I got it.
I know you're going to share it over. So I guess this is going to be the outro for the Four Beardsmen of the Apocalypse. I'm JL, and there's Johnny O and PhD Tony. And I guess we will see you guys next week at the new time. Be safe. Be excellent to each other.
All right. It's down there ready to go.
Ready to go?
Ready to go.
I will add it to the stream. Peace.